because it is IFAATU who has organized this discussion, and Sokoto is hosting the discussion. I will give the first word to Muhammad Osman to tell us IFAATU a bit, then we will move in our discussion. I will welcome my brother from Uganda, Mr. Osha Oshire Owere, to start the discussion after Muhammad. Then my brother from Malaysia will follow, then Gambia, and Frank Dizere will also be in the discussion, and he will follow our brother from Gambia. Before I start, I give Muhammad his time to talk. The objective of this discussion is all about to discuss how the COVID-19 has affected the unionists, the trade unionists, and our aim is to converse the key issues, including unemployment, vacancies, the workers' health, and mobility of labor union during this COVID-19 situation, violations of workers during the pandemic outbreak. Of course, each and every one of you will be given a time to talk. Probably we have 1 hour and 30 minutes to discuss, but it depends our discussion how it goes. Each and every one of the leaders from the different countries will have a time to speak to tell us how the COVID-19 has affected primarily the entire world and then their country specifically. I will open the discussion and thank you very much, each and every one of you, to join the discussion. Muhammad, the Vice President of IFAATU and the President of Somali Congress of Trade Union, please join us and say a word in this discussion. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Abdisalan. Thank you all for coming at such short notice. I really appreciate you all for attending today. Brother Owero, President of National Union of Trade Union, Uganda.
Yes.
Brother Solomon, the Secretary General of Malaysian Trade Union Congress.
Hi.
Brother Mamadou Kabebe, Secretary General Gambian Labour Congress.
Hi.
Brother Frank, Ivory Coast Trade Union. Brother Abdisalan Yaro, Deputy Chairman of Somali Congress of Trade Union. Members of leadership of International Federation of ASEAN and African Trade Union. Member of Union affiliate to International Federation of Asian and African Trade Unionists. Representative, all other trade union leaders, brothers and sisters. It's very exciting indeed to be here today and attend this valuable and well-organized Zoom event. Such thanks going to those who made this happen. Greetings of solidarity on behalf of the International Federation of Asian and African Trade Union and its affiliate and the President Saud Rashid. Brothers and sisters present at this Zoom meeting, let me bring your attention that the International Federation of Asian and African Trade Union is independent, democratic national trade union representing the interests of working class of Asia and Africa. It was founded on the principles of self-reliance, unity, advancing the interests of working class, democratic trade unionism, independence, and the strong sense of Asian and African trade union solidarity. We speak on behalf of the workers and their families who are stranded in their homes with a little or no health support and social welfare. Those ailing in the hospitals and those who are infected with COVID-19, and as well as to those who are not getting any sick bed and paid leave during this crisis. Some countries are in fragile situations, more especially both in Africa and Asia, with poor health system and weak institutional infrastructure. And I would like to appeal all to join hands in fighting this pandemic. I pray for this pandemic to be over soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for that well note. I would like also to inform the participants and our leaders that we were supposed to join by our sister organization from Kenya, IFAATU, and they're absent with apology. Also Pakistan, labor union, they have a problem and they were not able to join, and we apologize for that. Thank you, Mohammed. I'll give a time our brother from Uganda, Nochu, to give us his note on this. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Wilson Owere.
Brothers, I'm really humbled and I'm happy that today, on the 14th of August, I'm with you live from Uganda, joining you, the rest of the world, in the Zoom. First of all, I want to congratulate the Asian and African trade unions, then the Somali Congress of Trade Unions, and all the participants in this webinar for participating in this meeting. First of all, I want to inform you that Uganda, we are having a lot of challenges, especially in this COVID time. But I'm happy to inform you that our government have handled the COVID in more professional way and more scientific way. That there are a number of cases of death has really reduced, but it has really affected the workers world over, including Uganda. You find that aviation industry is most hit, the tourism sector, the hotels, and other informal sector workers. There are so much lockdown in most areas, but there are some openings. And as you are aware, schools are not operating, and this is affecting the future world of work. Because without education, you'll find that most people now, a whole year is now killed without education. And you know, education is the engine of development in any country. So we are, as workers, we must now plan on how workers are going to be during this COVID, because it's really a challenge to all the world and world of work that we are now experiencing, something which has never been there in the history of the world. And I thank you. I'm very, very happy to join you in this struggle. I thank you.
Thank you, Brother Osha Wilson Osire, the Chair General of NOTU, for that very important information from Uganda and how it has affected the COVID-19, the people of Uganda, and more especially the Workers' Union. Thank you so much. We appreciate your contribution. I will turn to Asia, our brother from Malaysia, Mr. John Solomon, the Secretary General of Malaysia Labour Federation. Solomon, the Malaysia Trade Union. Welcome, brother.
Thank you, Salam, and recognizers in the Federation and comrades and participants. First and foremost, I want to thank the Federation for inviting MTUC to participate in this important forum. We are happy to be part of this Zoom meeting, and we are a very small labor center. We have a population in Malaysia almost 32 million, and ours is the only labor center which has affiliates of both the private sector and the public sector. We have a membership of almost 500,000, and we are also the constituent of ILO, the Workers' Representative in Malaysia. And during this COVID-19, we also face the same problem and similar challenges like any other trade union from any other countries. And I must say that in Malaysia, just like our comrade who just mentioned that the government from Uganda has maintained or contained COVID-19 very well, and I must congratulate Uganda, and I must also admit that the Malaysian government has also contained the COVID-19 extremely well, I would say, compared to the neighboring countries. And as of today, we have almost about 9,000 over individuals who were tested positive on COVID-19, and out of each 8,000 over have recovered, and we have a death of 125 as of today, and today as of about 5:30 Malaysian time, this is the time when normally the Malaysian government will announce the daily statistics of the COVID-19. So we just got news that there were 20 new cases of people who were tested positive on COVID-19. So we had single digit a few days ago. So in the last 1 month, it is moving from single digit to double digit. So in that context, I think the Malaysian government has taken a lot of initiative to ensure that the standard operating procedures are complied by the citizens, and we are happy that to a large extent there has been cooperation from the public to ensure that we stay safe and healthy. And of course, in the context of the labor, we are also badly hit, and as of today, we have almost about 700 or 1,000 who are unemployed as consequent to the COVID-19. And in the month of May, it was almost 800 or 1,000. So once the lockdown or the movement control was relaxed a bit, then we saw the economy picking up. That is why now the number is reduced to 700 or 1,000. And we hope that we will come out of this COVID-19. And we hope that there will be a better situation for the workers in this country. Though our government was able to contain the spread of COVID-19, but I think they are still finding it a challenging process in containing the unemployment. So that is one sector, one area where the trade union movement is facing a lot of challenges because some of the corporations are taking advantage of the COVID-19 to give an excuse to lay off workers. So they knowing very well the trade unions are not able to actually execute their industrial action by getting together in picket and all other forms of gathering. That has given a kind of advantages to the employers to carry out unpleasant anti-trade union activities during this COVID-19. So these are some of the challenges that we are facing as a result of this COVID-19. So as we move on, perhaps I can share more. So now this is briefly what I wanted to share. Thank you, Abdul Salam.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, our brother Solomon, for that in-depth discussion about how the COVID-19 has impacted the Malaysian people and the workers more specifically. It was very informative, and it was had a lot of best practices and how the government is mitigating to handle the spread of the virus in Malaysia. And thank you so much for sharing that. I'll be coming back to you, but let me move to our brother Mamadou Keba from Gambia, the Secretary General of Gambia Labour Congress. Our brother, welcome back and share with us your experience and how the COVID-19 has impacted the Gambia Labour Congress and the Gambian people, working class. Welcome.
Thank you, brother. Let me first of all thank you very much for having me on this forum. Congratulations to Somali Labour Congress. And we are really proud to be on this forum to share our own experience. COVID-19 is the most dangerous pandemic that we have ever come across in our lifetime. And no doubt it has brought about hardship throughout the entire world. Big economies have suffered, and naturally small economies as well have suffered, especially those of us in the developing countries. We have been able to be privileged to participate in the IFAATU forum on this issue. We also followed the summit organized by the ILO on this very dangerous virus and its effects to the lives and the working class movement. As we have already seen, a lot of economies are falling down. And as we always also see in our own countries, we equally have very serious problems having to cope with the pandemic. It is devastating more so in the informal sector in the Gambia, more so in the agricultural sector and the tourism sector. As you can see, when the pandemic struck last in March, the tourist industry has to close. The informal sector has to wind down. Consequently, we are going to face the same as the trend has continued as at now. I so hope that there will be a tourist season this year. Naturally, the informal sector, like the agricultural sector, are going to suffer. We have had problems in the Gambia of late. One month ago, the Gambia was able to contain the virus to the best of their ability. But 1 month ago, it just exploded. And the cases began to rise. 2 months ago, we were only 17 with 5 deaths. But as at now, it is sad to know that the number has risen so much so that it is frightening. As at now, we have 1,556 cases. As at now, we have 43 deaths. and 1,246 active. If we check the cases per million, Gambia is only 1.5 million. Per million is about 642 per million. This is very frightening. We were able to contain it, as I said, in the first initial stages, but because of the loose borders that we have with our neighbors, the Gambia was infested with very many cases. As a result, recently, Gambia has promulgated new dimensions and restrictions. And in fact, we have also imposed curfews, closed most of the public places. Markets are closed over the weekend. And a restriction on religious gathering has also been imposed because the cases are now spiking and it is very, very frightening here in the Gambia. We don't blame our government much, but we think that the situation went out of hand. The reason why it went out of hand is that there is lack of social dialogue between government, workers, and employers. Issues of national interest must be collectively shared in a tripartite form so that every individual is part of the equation and part of the problem and part of the solutions. Containment of this virus is absolutely necessary, especially for us in small countries and for us in a very close communal life. And that we think it is now up to our governments to get workers engaged in the problem solution process rather than ignoring them and sticking only to those in government sectors. I think it is also important now that the ILO pledges to play an important part in the solution. We believe that ILO should now come up with a comprehensive workers' plan in order to fight this pandemic, rather than leaving it all to the trade unions at the national level. It might be difficult, it might not work. But at the level of the ILO, a solidarity or a collective international action at the level of the ILO can also push to improve the situation. We hope things will change. We pray to Almighty Allah that we will get out of this pandemic and that the whole world will be safe. And once again, I thank you all for having it made possible for me and for us to be part of this program. And we hope we will continue to contact each other, share our information and experiences in order that we will together we will succeed and defeat this pandemic. Once again, brothers and all those on the forum, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our brother Mamadou Keba from Gambia, for sharing that in-depth information and experience on the impact of COVID-19 in Gambia and how the Gambian government has handled the situation. I'll come back to you, but I'll turn to our brother Saeed Haji, Haji Saeed from Pakistan. Brother, do you hear me? Brother Saeed, do you hear me, brother? I think Haji Saeed from Pakistan has a problem with the software and we are not hearing. So I'll turn to Frank Bisere. Frank Bisere, brother, are you there? Actually, both of them were having a problem and we will move on as they able to handle that problem. So I will turn to my brother Owere. Owere, yes. You have said some of the sectors that has felt the pressure of COVID-19 including the education. We know that schools have been closed. Many teachers were not able to get paid in the region, particularly teachers from the private sector. We have been receiving from our side a lot of complaints and protests from teachers, how Uganda was handling that situation, and what was your take as soon not to respond to such issues in Uganda?
Uganda, as I told you, the sector which are most hit is aviation industry. Aviation industry is had a hit that the only airport we have is not operational. Most of the hotels are not working. Particularly, at least for the government, it's government-aided schools. The government is paying salary. That one is for. But in the private sector, you find that the teachers in private sector were not catered for, and all the schools are closed. But he has actually offered 22 billion after not to and affiliates coming under the leadership of the president is offering 22 billion. They first gave them 2 billion, then later on he added, and now it's to go to them, but he has been passed through the microfinance center. So we are we are trying our level best to see that the money that the president has given is given and through microfinance is distributed and given to the teachers. So that's the start life. But as you know, the number of teachers are many, and that money will just be for a very short time. So we need now a very lasting solution to find that many workers have been laid off. Others have also, like the flower sector, where there was a plan to lay off workers. But what we did was we have worked out as a tripartite: government, employers, and the shutdown, put up measures that when there's anything concerning workers, they must be, first of all, be handled at negotiation level, so that both parties agree on the memorandum of understanding. As you are aware, this pandemic started seriously in March, but we agreed that March salary was supposed to be paid in April, but the subsequent months, they negotiate, and they have to send workers home. Then there must be a memorandum of understanding between employer and employee, so that when COVID pandemic is over, they can be able to call back the workers, and we can negotiation going on. Others have also used the opportunity to retrench workers, which I think we have basically disagreed with them. And in many cases, what we have done, those who have stubbornly done it, we have also gone to court. We don't allow the workers to be at disadvantage. But all in all, the situation around workers is not the best, because many of the employers use this opportunity, first of all, to maximize the profit. Secondly, there's that issue of, for them, thinking that it is now time for them to kick out the workers they never wanted to be with them. So we are also trying our best workers to be more vigilant, to cancel those workers who have lost jobs. And we are also in negotiation with the government to try our level best to see that the arbitrary layoff should not take place. And lastly, in the last scientific Labor Day, the president came out and echoed our voice and said employers should not retrench workers. But there are also sectors that have benefited out of this COVID, because there are those sectors which have never closed. And those sectors like manufacturing, those who are manufacturing like face masks, those who are manufacturing sanitizers, those who are doing other jobs which are they have never closed. Now, there is also informal sector where people working in the markets, people working in bars and so on, have also lost their jobs. And these are areas that we are also trying to grapple with to see how we can help them. And this is the time when we are calling upon the ILO, International Labour Organization, to come out with a very clear policy on jobs are at stake, and we must do something. So first of all, I want to thank Somalia Congress for being there for the workers. Because recently I saw some kind of strike at the airport, but I saw the union was very, very active. We have been also very keen and active to ensure that we protect and making sure that workers are not disadvantaged. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Were, and thank you for acknowledging the work of Somalia Congress Union here in Somalia. And I know you are doing a very wonderful job in Uganda as well. I will turn to our brother. We have also Mahmoud. Mahmoud is from Somalia Congress Trade Union.
No, Haji Said is ready now. Haji Said is ready.
Mahmoud is our rapporteur. We are recording this discussion. Mahmoud also is taking the recordings so that we share the report after the discussion, so that we release a statement about our discussion today. But before I give Mahmoud to say something, let me turn to Haji Said, our brother from Pakistan Labour Federation. Haji Said, do you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you.
Brother, welcome, and tell us about how the pandemic is affecting the people of Pakistan and more primarily the workers in Pakistan.
You see, this is the big problem facing by the mostly workers in Pakistan, but the mostly affected people due to this coronavirus are the people who are working on daily wages, or they have no regular employment. They are facing a big problem, but government is supporting some workers, but that is not enough for their survival. You see, this is a problem we are not facing in Pakistan, but we are facing in all around the world. This is a big crisis for the workers community, and we are just facing because Pakistan Labour Federation has one affiliates in the hospitals. That is a Pakistan Paramedical Staff Association. That is also facing, we have lose some of our very, very active trade unionists due to this coronavirus. But we are fighting on this with the assistance of the other trade unions, the affiliate with the Pakistan Labour Federation. And we are thank you for your this initiative to make some meetings of the trade union leader all around from the world. And I think that we all must have to face this problem unitedly. And we also request to the International Labour Organization and other ICFTU, ITC, and also to the WFTU, they can play their role to just protect the fundamental rights of the workers due to this crisis of the coronavirus.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Our brother Haji Said from Pakistan Labour Federation. I'll come back to you for more questions, but let me turn to Mahmoud before I give chance our brother from Ivory Coast, Frank Dizere. Mahmoud, welcome.
Thank you, Absalam. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today and making this happen. I'm greatly humbled that you guys met to this Zoom meeting today. It's my pleasure. Mine is a bit brief. I just want to request you members to join the International Federation of Asian and African Trade Union. Our president, Saud Al-Jailia, is the current president, and the headquarters is based in Kuwait. My brother Mohammed Haji is the deputy president, and I know most of you guys are familiar with him. So I will greatly request those members, those unions that are not member to the organization, to join us. I have been sharing a lot about most of the organizations, and our president is more willing to engage all that are interested. And I know in order to widen your network, it's always good to engage new organizations, to be partner with them. So I will greatly request everyone who are not our members to join us, please. Thank you, Absalam. I just wanted to convey that.
Thank you, Mahmoud, for sharing that very important information. Actually, IFAATU, International Federation of Asian African Trade Unions, is the one that has organized this discussion. And actually, it is very important for us to expand our network, engage other unions, and create affiliations that will help our voice to reach far and wide across the world. So thank you very much for conveying that message. And I hope each and every leader in this discussion has had the message of Mahmoud from our President Saudi Rashid, the President of the International Federation of Asian and African Trade Unions. Thank you so much, Mahmoud. Let me turn to our brother, Frank Dusere from Ivory Coast. Frank Dusere, do you hear me, brother? I think still he has a problem, but I have seen just a short time ago he was able to use his camera, but still he has a problem in the audio. So let me go back to my brother from Malaysia, brother Jay Solomon. Jay Solomon has mentioned that it is Malaysia facing another escalation of the coronavirus, and it is threatening livelihoods and jobs. And he has mentioned also that the biggest problem is the fear of many people losing their jobs, since every country around the world, especially Asia and Africa, employers are from the informal sector, which employs around 60% or more in each and every from our specific countries. So Solomon, I want to ask you, how are you dealing with that? How is your organization engaging with the private sector to ensure that workers from the private sector are not laid off during this pandemic period?
Thank you, brother. Yes, there is a substantial number, or I would say mostly from the private sectors are affected as a consequence to the COVID-19. Of course, the worst is robbing their livelihood. There are three factors that has affected the private sector workers. From the time the lockdown, or we call it the movement control order, was announced by the Prime Minister of Malaysia, that is on 16 March, which is effective from 18 March 2020. What we saw, the immediate challenge for the workers is many employers began to lay off workers many employers began to deduct the salaries of the workers, and many employers decided to force their workers to go on unpaid leave. So this was the three main issues that we encountered when workers started approaching us. And anticipating that some employers will take advantage of the situation, the Malaysian Trade Union Congress, MTUC, immediately set up a help desk. And from there, we noticed that a lot of these employers were not genuine in addressing the issues. We must congratulate the government of Malaysia because they came out with various stimulus packages. I think total US, it could be around 60 billion US dollars package was actually introduced by the government of Malaysia. And it was focused on the lowest income group and also the small businesses. And one of the important things that the government of Malaysia did was, after much persuasion from MTUC and other organizations, the Malaysian government was able to persuade the financial institute to give a moratorium of 6 months to not to collect any installments from the customers. So what benefited the bank customers was, effective 1st April, the customers need not pay their monthly installment for the various loans. So it was an automatic moratorium given to the workers. That assisted the workers generally a lot. And the government also came up with a fund to assist employers by providing wage subsidy, whereby if any employer could produce document to prove that they have been badly affected by the COVID-19, then they have a benefit of getting a wage subsidy for the workers. And this wage subsidy was targeted for the lower income group. And that also helped. And in Malaysia, we also have the our employment insurance scheme, like some other countries do have, which comes under the Social Security protection. And fortunately, it came to effect from 1st January 2018. And that further helped the workers because the immediate compensation from this Social Security for 6 months for their pay, for those who have been retrenched, it definitely helped those workers. So for a period of 6 months, beginning from the first month, 80% of their wages are being actually paid through this employment insurance scheme. So it gradually goes down, then from 50, then it goes down to 30, then it goes down to 20. So this actually assists those workers who were actually laid off, and for the 6 months, they are able to get some compensation to sustain themselves. Though it is not an answer to their actual problem, but there is some assistance given to these employees. But then again, we are looking at those who are contributing to the scheme. And especially these contributors are from the formal workers. So we have a huge informal workers. So for the informal workers, there was no such assistance given. only there was assistance given by the government, which came out with another program for a 3 months wage subsidy also. So this is a small amount, but it was also targeted for the smaller income group. So this kind of assistance actually cushions the private sector workers during this period. But the only problem that we could not get the government to solve the immediate problem was like what our brother from Gambia, Mamadou, was saying, that there was lack of consultation with the stakeholders. So similarly in Malaysia, from the beginning of this movement control order was announced by the Prime Minister, we have been stressing to the government to come out with a regulation to prevent any form of retrenchment, pay cut, or forced unpaid leave for a period of 6 months or 1 year, which we are still continuing with that campaign. But that we could not get the government to introduce. So that was the setback where some corporation which were making billions before MCO, and when the MCO was announced, immediately their first reaction was to lay off workers. Yes, we know industries like airlines were badly affected, but little did the airlines consider that the years of the profits they made, they did not want to plow that profit to sustain with the workers, but they immediately came out with the retrenchment, and some even at a very nominal package, which actually caused a lot of problem to the airline workers. And of course, like what some of our comrades have said, the tourism sector is badly affected. So we are now pursuing with the government to create employment. And we have another setback in Malaysia is because we have migrant workers, which is about 3 million, and it's about 10% of the population. Or we also have a substantial number of undocumented migrant workers. So these are some of the issues that we had, because we noticed that during the movement control order, or which is the lockdown, the badly affected were the migrant workers, because some employers took advantage because they did not have proper documents, and they were the first one to actually be laid off. And coupled with that, some of them were not given a proper accommodation, so their living conditions were bad. And we raised some of the issues, and it's good to note that the government acted on it immediately. So, and one thing we realized during this movement control order, or the consequence of COVID-19, is that just like everyone, one basic thing that we learn is we have learned how to wash our hands in a more appropriate manner. And we have learned how to be more hygiene with our food and etc. And that is a known factor to everyone. But COVID-19 has pushed us to an extent that we should give emphasis on this. Likewise, in all our dealings during the COVID-19 with the private sector workers, we realized that many workers who were unionized they had leaders and organizations to help them. But those who were not unionized are the ones who suffered the most during this period. And that is why in Malaysia there was a large number of informal workers. And unfortunately, our labor laws does not provide space for these informal workers to be unionized. So some of the things that we realized that during this COVID-19, that there are important laws that need to be introduced to ensure that this unprecedented pandemic crisis could be addressed and it will not be the disadvantage to the workers. Because many a times we notice that the government is trigger happy to protect the interests of the economy, of the rich and the corporation. But the economy of the poor is not given the same emphasis. And even if it is given under the pretext of cosmetic appearances. So in real life situation, the objective of helping the poor workers is not fully executed. So in that context, the workers become victimized all the time. Even in good times, we were not given the fair share of the wealth. And even in bad times, we were the first targeted ones to be kicked out from the corporation. So in this, we realize that just as how we need to wash our hands properly, we have learned, we have also learned in Malaysia that we must be grateful with the unions that we have, and we must ensure that we make the union an effective union so that we can become stronger, so that the voice of the workers not only will be heard by the public, but also the legislators. Because now what we are seeing, that the workers' well-being is being given a lot of emphasis through lip service, but not addressing the issues or the core issues of the labor. So that is why the unity among unions and the unity among the labor movement globally, it is very vital at this point of time. And that's why one of the reasons I accepted this invitation of this federation. And I must congratulate this federation to reach out to MTUC also. And I think the time has come that we have to be more united, a force. We are in fact a force to be reckoned with, but the factors surrounding globally has actually kept us apart. So these circumstances, I think it is timely that we identify what is actually keeping us apart, and we should try to remove those barriers and join together to ensure that our voices are heard for the sake of the workers in this country or any country, or I would say globally. Because right now it is not taking place as what we all dreamt of what a union should be or how dignified a worker should be. So that is lacking in it. I hope and I believe that with the comrades, trade union comrades all over the world, it's high time that we should put differences aside and unite and fight the cause like how the corporations do, even though they are competitors among themselves. When it comes to attacking the workers or union busting, they are together. That does not mean that we want to join together to fight with the corporation, but the fact is we must join together to let the government and the corporation know that we are a united force and we make a difference and we want a dignified livelihood. Not only the wealth and the nature belongs to the rich, but it also belongs to every citizen that walks in this planet. I think that is the direction that we would like to see take place consequence to this post-COVID-19. Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Yes.
Now it's
Okay. Okay. Abdissalam. Abdissalam.
Yes. Oh, my mic was
Okay.
my speaker was mute. Thank you so much, our brother Solomon, for sharing that in-depth information and best practices and lessons that we have learned during the pandemic outbreak. The bottom line of your comment was about let us unite on the best interest of the workers around the world and put our differences aside. Also, our brother Solomon has mentioned that IFAATU has to come forward and reach out MTU to take the advocacy, the voice, and the interest of the workers forward. Thank you so much. We heard from that, we hear from that, and I'm sure our Deputy Vice President, Muhammad Osman Haji, was also noting that comment. Let me turn to my brother, Mamadou Keba from Gambia. Gambia is one of the countries that has been dealing with the COVID-19 in the first few months. Now it has been escalating. Our brother Mamadou, can you tell us one lesson that we can learn from the Gambian people and the Gambian Workers Union on how you have dealt with the spread of the coronavirus, so that we are sharing best practices and innovative ways that each and every one of us was handling the situation. Most welcome.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Ahmed. I like to thank Solomon for that very brilliant statement. It was right on to the point. It is only when we are united that we can fight our causes. And I appreciate his appeal for a united labor force all right around the world. Well, as I said, in Gambia have not had a good experience for the past 2 months. Cases have spiked, and the entire system got lost. And we in the Gambia, what we are now proposing is to set up a task force comprising of all stakeholders, employers as well as government. And we give the responsibility of this task force to reach the grassroots, because it is a grassroots that is now most important to be targeted, because they are the people that are to be sensitized and to be aware of the dangers of the virus. Because as at now, people are not even keen to wear masks, which is the basic protective PPE against this virus, because of lack of consciousness. So we propose that we should be helped by the International Labour Organization to set up a task force in the respective regions of the country. And this task force will give timely and clear information about guidelines on containment measures. because this is where we are lacking how to contain the virus. If you are not aware of how to contain it, like Solomon has said, the virus has taught us to wash our hands properly. It has taught us to keep good hygiene. But how many people are aware of this success that the virus has brought about? And why has it been introduced by WHO? So therefore, a clear and timely information guidance on the containment measures is important. And we also want this committee to engage government directly, because the lack of contact between government and stakeholders has created a vacuum in transmitting and addressing the issues surrounding the pandemic. We also propose that we have create the possibility of a better workforce, a workforce that will be able to respond, frontline workers that are able to respond immediately, in containment of this pandemic. We also want this committee to be a sort of an education committee, able to analyze the impact of the pandemic on the workers and their families, because the workers are the mostly greatly affected. The informal worker, Solomon had included. In the Gambia, 80% of the country are informal workers, mostly on the self-employed. Transportation system is affected. The tourism system is dead, because there will be no tourist season this year, because the pandemic is yet to be contained. And I think these are the issues that we should have international collaboration with the international organizations, and amongst other bilateral cooperation, so that we can jointly assist at the level of our own to contain the pandemic. Because this is the issue of containment. It has already come up. We have to contain it, control it, eliminate it, and fight it out, because it's a continuous process. I think these are issues that we would want to highlight on this forum, so that it will be considered by our bilateral organizations as well as the international. And also, I think the Africa-Asia Federation coming up at this time will be a very strong instrument in trying to foster the relationship and pass on informative information and assistance guidance between our organizations. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody, and particularly Ahmed, Mohamed, and we promise that we'll be with you at all times. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, our brother Mamadou Kepa from Gambia, sharing that well experience and very important information of how we can go forward in handling such pandemic in the future, and as well ensuring the spreading of this pandemic to stop as soon as possible, using a coordinated way of engaging with local government, development agencies, and international partners in coming up with a comprehensive strategy and plan to handle the situation. Thank you so much. I'll turn to my brother, Haji Said. Haji Said, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Yeah, of course, we have been hearing that some countries are facing a second wave, despite the fact that they have been dealing with the spread of the virus for a very long time. What is the situation of Pakistan right now? Do you have any strategic plan or an approach of dealing a future second wave in Pakistan?
I again thank you for your organization and for your very good initiative to take on this very, very critical situation of the workers. They are until facing on this coronavirus, because you see the mostly people are affected. Those are not regular workers, they are not regular employees. Those are on daily wages, those are on contract basis. They have a big problem. And mostly the migrant workers, those are working in abroad from Pakistan and from other countries, they are also facing a big problem. You see, we have a one World Asian Worker Organization that based in UK, and the branches are around the world. They are also looking for the people, for the workers. Those are have lose their jobs, and they are providing some assistance, some help to the migrant workers. Mr. Peter Noon is the president of the World Asian Worker Organization. Basically, he is the education secretary of the British Labour Party. He is also working on this issue. Our one branch chairman of the European Union, Mr. Asaf Barlas, who is in Brussels, he also doing some assistance to provide some help to the victim of the coronavirus, because you see, this is a international problem, but the developed country has faced this on their own sources and resources, but the developing countries and the poor country workers are just facing this problem, and they are unable to survive. And this is the duty of our all trade union leaders to unite ourselves, irrespective of our affiliation with the ITC, with the other UNI, with the WFTU, irrespective of sorry, irrespective of our affiliation, we should work together. Leave this time that he is a communist and he is a leftist and he is a rightist. Leave these things, and we appeal to all the international organizations, even the ILO and the WHO. Please help the workers, because this is the time they need the assistance from the international organization and from the trade unions, which they are facing the problem of the unemployment. And you see, many innocent workers have been killed due to this coronavirus, and they are unable to get some medical assistance. And until now, we are just waiting. Maybe someone has made a new vaccine to protect the workers from this coronavirus. But this is an international problem, and our organization, Pakistan Labour Federation, is working on this issue, because our organization is a national organization and registered with the Ministry of Labour, Government of Pakistan, and working for the last 50 years. Basically, we are affiliated with the WFTU, but one of our organization, that is a graphic art worker union, that is affiliated with the other international organization. And you see, but we are asking of our all affiliates to leave these things that they have a connection with the this and this, but we need some unitedly we can fight this, face the problem of the coronavirus, and we can help those who are unable to get their salaries, who have got their wages, because you see the daily wages workers have no job for the last 6 months. They are facing a big problem, but the government of Pakistan have given them some very small money for their survival. And we think that we should work together and to protect those workers who are facing still the elimination from the poverty. We should work for them. We have also thankful for our friends in Turkey, the Memerson. They are also doing something for their own workers. But we are thankful for our World Asian Worker Organization that is providing some mask and some other equipment for the protection of the coronavirus. But that is not sufficient. This help is not sufficient for because thousands, not millions of workers have been facing this problem, and many millions have been lose their life due to this coronavirus. And we thankful for this initiative, and we hope that as soon as the coronavirus is totally eliminated from the globe, then we also have a plan to invite some trade union leader in Pakistan to organize a conference and to discuss this issue and to how can we help the people those are still have need their assistance for the survival of them. And I again thankful on behalf of Pakistan Labour Federation as well as on the World Workers Organization. We are most grateful for your this initiative. I think the Malaysian Trade Union Congress, we have a very good relation, but some year go back when the Mr. Zainal Rampik was the president of the MTUC, we met him in Malaysia. The Malaysian Trade Union also playing a very good role. The Turkish person and the other WFP affiliates are also playing their role. Like they in Italy, in other countries, we have contact with some international organization. They are doing their best survival of the. We appreciate their and we appreciate their struggle. And again, I thank you very much for you and for your all colleagues who are arranging this meeting to have to discuss some very important issue and to exchange the ideas and views between our organization on this very important issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, our brother Haji Saeed from Pakistan. We really appreciate your experience, your information, and how your trade union is helping the Pakistan Workers Union, and for highlighting the importance of unionism and increasing our network and partnership is the interest of the workers. Thank you so much. Actually, we are almost heading to the end of the session, but I wanna give each and every one of the leaders here 1 minute to say the last word. It can be a recommendation, it can be how you see the COVID-19 in 1 word or 2 words. Our brother Solomon. Your mic is mute.
Hello.
Yeah. Our brother Solomon,
Yes.
your mic is not working. Yes. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Now you're okay.
Okay, thank you. Firstly, I want to thank the organizers for giving MTUC the privilege to participate in this Zoom. I have learned a lot of richful things from our comrades, and I'm very happy that I was given this platform to hear from all of you and also to share with you our concern. And again, I want to end to say that job security is the most important thing for every union, for its members. And globally, I would want to say that there is a need for further unity among us to fight the injustice in this world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Solomon. Brother Owere.
Yeah.
The last word.
I just want to highlight and first of all, thank you for organizing this meeting. And my call is to International Labour Organization to come out clearly and help, especially the unions, its constituency, to address the issue of unemployment, which is now rapidly changing the world. COVID may be there for some time, but we need to rethink, we need to plan.
Brother,
how we can really put our countries, ensure that workers are protected. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Are you getting me?
Yes, brother. Yes, brother.
Yes.
United we rise, united we fall. This is the main ideas of the trade union, And I again thanks and assure you our full cooperation at any time, at any place. We are uh, assuring our full cooperation, and we are just have the idea that if we are united, we can face all the consequences like coronavirus or other problem of the unemployment. And we also request to the ILO to play their role irrespective of their people, those are not affiliated with the ITUC, they are not affiliated with the union and others, but they have to treat all the trade unions, those are working in the different part of the world, irrespective of their affiliation, and they can help the workers. And we are also assure our full cooperation, brother. At the last, I thank you again for your this program.
Thank you so much, our brother. Thank you so much, our brother Habi, for acknowledging and thanking our partner, our friends, and other organizations. Our brother, you can proceed to finish. Brother Owere, do you hear me?
I hear you. I just want to thank you, and I want to thank the organized trade unions in the world. The challenges that has come with COVID, and what we need to do now is also to call upon the International Organization of Trade Confederation to work together with the ILO and other partners to help countries that are now suffering, especially the workers. The workers' constituency is the ILO constituency. We now need to work out as a tripartite, that's employers, employees, and governments, to take this COVID on and ensure that the safety of the workers, more employments are safeguarded, and we should now rethink about how we are going to recover the economies in the world of work. Thank you very much. May God, Allah bless you.
Thank you very much, my brother, Were, for the wise words closing your discussion. Our brother Mamadou Akeba, your last word, brother.
Oh, thank you very much. I don't want to repeat what the other speakers have already said. I think joint solidarity action at the level of the ILO is important, and that we should go ask governments to make sure that the plight of the workers are protected, not only on lip services. And if we are able to concentrate our efforts together, I think together we'll be able to eliminate the pandemic from the face of the earth. It is only when we are united that we can do it. It's not going to be easy, but united we can succeed.
Thank you so much, brother Mamadou Akeba, for those wise words. Of course, before I give Jans to say the last word, our Vice President of IFAATU and the President of Sokoto, Master Muhammad Osman, I would like to thank each and every one of you for the discussion, for sharing experiences, making recommendations, and sharing with the rest of the team the best practices at their country level and how they have handled the situation. Somalia was one of the countries that has been affected hugely by the pandemic. Of course, most of you are aware that Somalia is a very fragile country, a country that has been rising from a civil war, where institutions are very vulnerable, where government is not in position to support and provide financial windows for the private sector and the informal sector. Of course, we have been struggling hard, but thanks to God, the situation was in the hand of the government. The government has used a couple of strategies to make sure that the spread does not reach far. The government has come up with a night curfew. It has closed the aviation sector, both local and international. We have closed the schools. We were able to set up a national call center where people are given educative and awareness in relation to hygiene, protection and safety. And thanks to God that now the country is recording the least number in terms of infected people by the virus. But unfortunately, around 100 plus has succumbed to the virus. Now schools are being opened, and we are trying to re-strategize on the ways that we can protect children and teachers going back to school to contract with the virus. We are not still very certain about the situation, but we are trying hard. We have been discussing with the government to ensure that we protect the few jobs that are in the market. Sectors that have been affected usually include the education sector, the aviation. As you have said, we don't have a thriving tourism sector. The informal sector was also hugely impacted because there was huge hard and a lot of pressure in terms of job mobility, goods and movement of people within Somalia itself, and that has closed a lot of markets and a lot of job opportunities. We have been receiving a lot of complaints from health workers union, teachers, aviation workers union. We have participated a labor strike conducted by the aviation workers union just 2-3 days ago, and still we are negotiating with the private company which is managing the airport to reinstate all the workers, all the staff working at the airport, and at least to pay 50% of the pay for the last 4 months. So thank you so much for sharing experiences. We are very much happy for such discussion. Somalia has learned a lot from you. We are very young generation. We are only around 10 years old as the union since we have established the center, the National Network Center. And we are very much happy to have friends like our brother Owere, a man of wealth experience, our brother Momadua, our brother Solomon, our brother Said. And I think for us, it is actually a knowledge sharing from, all organizations like yours. And we believe unity is where we can reach far and wide to protect the rights of workers. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much for joining us in this discussion. Let me give my boss, our President Muhammad Osman Haji, the Vice President of IFAATU, to say the last word before we close the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Salan. Thanks to all of you who are with us today's meeting, Friday, 14th August 2020, and we look forward to meeting and working all of you who were unable to attend. We had some great discussions, suggestions, and we're moving forward together. I want to say solidarity, solidarity, solidarity forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you so much.
Before we say bye to each other, I want to share with you that we will be sharing the report, the activity report of this discussion, and we will be releasing a statement. Of course, before we release, we share with you, and you add your recommendation and comments. We also share with you the recorded clip of this discussion, so that you use for sharing with your partners and organizations in terms of engagement during this pandemic period. Thank you so much, and bye-bye to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.